1.1 session. And I want to start off with a discussion of 3 sectors and the initiatives that we are planning with those 3 sectors. The first sector is civil society. And we have some upcoming events that I want to share. First, a global coalition civil society forum, which will be hosted by the Vienna NGO Committee in collaboration with the New York NGO Committee. This will take place on the 1st of February in 2 sessions, 9 to 11 and 4 to 6 Central European time. And coalition governments are encouraged to attend and hear from the civil society organizations in terms of their thoughts of the coalition themes. We will be circulating to all coalition members the invitation link for attendance of these meetings. Second event, Global Coalition National Dialogues between governments and civil society organizations. We are encouraging all of you to engage your civil society organizations within your country. The United States on the 24th of January will host a civil society organization forum organized by the White House. And we have shared background on the coalition and are inviting US civil society organizations to deliver statements. This session will be recorded and posted on the website. And if you all do also host your own meetings with civil society, we also invite you to either send us the recording or to write a summary, and we will also post this on our website. Finally, the Vienna NGO Committee also committed to collect additional feedback from civil society organizations and recommendations, and we will also make all of this information available to you on our website. The second sector is the university sector. And I want to share with you information about ICU-DDR, which is the International Consortium of Universities for Drug Demand Reduction. This is an NGO that was established in 2016 with funding from my agency, INL, and today it has over 422 universities from around the world. ICU-DDR is going to convene universities to reflect on the challenges of synthetic drugs and provide us with research, policy ideas, and programming recommendations. The discussions are going to focus on all 3 working group themes. Even though their focus has been drug demand reduction, they will be looking for supply reduction ideas and recommendations from academia. And there are 3 activities or 3 phases to the work they are going to undertake over the coming months. First, they are going to hold regional focus group virtual meetings in 6 regions of the world: Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, Latin America and the Caribbean, the Middle East, US, and Canada. And the idea will be to develop recommendations and prepare reports for government's consideration. This will be done between February and March. Then April to June, once again, ICU-DDR will host 6 regional virtual meetings, this time with universities and governments, inviting all of you to discuss recommendations and to incorporate your views as well. And a report will be developed by ICU-DDR for the benefit of the coalition members here on the call today. Finally, ICU-DDR will conduct an inventory of university initiatives that can support the Global Coalition's work, and then we will be documenting those on the website as well. So that is the second sector, which is university. The third is the private sector, and I will be presenting information on this at next month's meeting. We'll have an engagement plan for the private sector as well. And next, I would like to discuss with you another feature that we have coming to the coalition website. It's a communication feature that will allow participants to share content. I think I previewed this at the last month's meeting. It will be similar to LinkedIn, to Facebook, and YouTube, where you are able to post your content, comment on other people's content, translate the materials into your language. This feature will go live in February, but it will require account activation from coalition participants. So in a sense, when you post, you will have sort of an account that will have your name so that it is identified who is posting in these sessions. In the coming weeks, you will receive an email inviting you to create an account and to post content as well on the coalition website. So we welcome you to share your recommendations for the coalition, post news, and share experiences. Now, finally, I'd like to share with you all the next steps for the coalition in terms of initiatives and pledges, and I want to provide a bit of a timeline. We are working on something called an initiatives menu, which refers to programs, actions, policies that we can all take as we have been listening throughout the months of February, December, January, and February on different initiatives and activities like we're going to do today. I'd like to share that over the past 2 months, we have received over 100 initiatives, ideas from international organizations, which presents a wonderful library for us to look at in terms of what exists internationally. Between the months of January to February, we are going to work with our web hosts in posting this menu of initiatives on the coalition websites for the benefit of the coalition members to review. What does that contain? Let me share an example. We'll have the initiative or project name, we'll have a description, we'll have some background documentation. We will also have accomplishments to date for that initiative, different activities for the initiative. We'll have outcomes at the global and national level. We will have a list of current countries that are participating in this activity, if it's already in existence or it may be a new activity. And we will have a point of contact in case your country would be interested in participating to know who to contact. So during the month of February, we will continue posting these initiatives on the coalition website. And then between February and March, coalition participants will be reviewing these and expressing interest in terms of which initiatives they would like to join or participate in. It may be a project or it just may be an action or policy. So we would be looking for all of you to identify sort of your areas of work and where you're going to expand and strengthen synthetic drug work. Then in March, we'll have further discussions of these initiatives. I think many of us will be at the Commission on Narcotic Drugs in Vienna, the CND, which will provide an opportunity for further discussion. And then April to July, we will begin the implementation of these initiatives. This is a bit in terms of the operational phase. Now, I also want to share my final points here that we have also been looking at the topics from these monthly coalition meetings and are trying to synthesize a shorter list of initiatives or actions, which we are calling recommendations. So we are trying to come up with a draft list of recommendations for each of the sub-working groups. And what we will be doing during the month of February is sharing this draft list of recommendations with co-chairs and also posting it on the website to get feedback and get further edits and changes to these recommendations. We have meetings of the working groups coming up on March 6 and 7, where the sub-working group co-chairs will present to the working group co-chairs the progress that has been made so far in the coalition and presenting that list of recommendations. And we will have a discussion with the states, the participants on the line. And the idea is that the recommendations will be posted on the website, and we will welcome further input from participants in terms of those recommendations as well for the coalition. So this is a bit in terms of the initiatives, as well as a draft list of recommendations that we can all start looking at to bring the coalition into the implementation phase, again, April to July. So that was a lot of information. I'm going to repeat it all over again in about 55 minutes, but let me now turn it over to our co-chairs for tonight, for this morning, to take over and lead our sessions. Thank you so much. So I think I'll turn it over now to our co-chairs. I think for tonight's co-chairs, I think we have Monica Shispatra. I think that our colleague from Kazakhstan, Dulad, is not online today. So I'll just turn it over to you, Monica. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, all of you, and a very warm welcome to the group session again. And thank you for all the wonderful administrative updates, Brian, you gave us. It looks really promising in the months to come. I think we have a lot to look forward to. As far as today's topic is concerned about the precursor chemicals, we do realize the importance of precursors chemicals and also to a urgent requirement to evolve a mechanism so that the illicit usage of these essential precursor chemicals can be stopped. And at the same time, it would be easily available for the licit purposes. Well, I would like to talk in the context of my country. So India has a thriving chemical and pharmaceutical industries, and therefore the challenges faced by government of India are humongous. And ensuring availability of precursor chemicals for their illicit usage and simultaneously denying drug traffickers from their availability to use the illicit manufacturing of drugs is a huge challenge. Well, India has made one of the very stringent laws to control and regulate the precursor chemicals. The Regulation of Controlled Substances Order 2013, which is in place, and we have other acts also which take care of the precursor chemicals. The control in India involves various agencies, including law enforcement, customs, and regulatory agencies because of robust chemical and pharma industry and vastness of the country. So we have so far notified 27 precursors chemical as controlled substances out of 33 precursor chemicals internationally notified by the INCB. Moreover, India has also taken following measures. We are using extensively the precursor incident communication system and also pre-export notification system of INCB. Implementation of online portal system called the unique registration number for monitoring the manufacturing, distribution, sale, purchase, and possession of the precursor chemicals is also being done. The emphasis is now also being placed on the B2B companies where these transactions happen for purchase and sale of precursor chemicals on their online platform. And sharing, we are also sharing such transactions to all these transactions are shared to NCB. We have also started a voluntary code of conduct for the chemical industry and traders so that they come forward and report to us any kind of suspicious activity. Also, a MOU has been signed with the Indian Chemical Council to enhance voluntary monitoring of trade. The emphasis is more on public private partnership by holding regular dialogue with the chemical industries, B2B platforms, and social media platforms. I also feel that there is a need for conducting awareness programs to parcel and courier services and even social media platforms to tackle these problems. Having said that, I think this is a wonderful platform where we can all the countries can come up with their best practices and we can come up with a joint mechanism to control the menace. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Monica. Now, in terms of the agenda for today, I'd like to ask our colleague Sarah to share who the first speaker is going to be for today.
Absolutely. Our first presentation today will be the National Disposal Plans. I'm looking at the wrong one. I apologize. 1 second. Will be from Mr. Rajesh Srivastava. I apologize, from the Precursor Control section of SINCB on control measures for precursor chemical production. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and a marvelous job you did for pronouncing my name. You don't have to hide your face. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Brian. Good morning to the co-chair, Monica. Lovely to see you here. Good morning also to Mark Chatrapal. These are the ones that I see on camera here. It's lovely to be part of this subgroup 1 today on behalf of the INCB, and lovely to be speaking on this extremely critical agenda item that we have here on control measures for precursor chemical position. Let me try and share my screen with you so that I can begin my presentation. And in just a second, can somebody confirm to me that my presentation is visible here?
We can
see a screen. Please go ahead.
Lovely. As you can see, that what I've, the title of this presentation that I have is International Precursor Control, the Framework, Mechanism, Tools, and Resources. What I'm trying to summarize here in this span of about 8 to 10 minutes is what initiatives we have from the International Narcotics Control Board side with regard to precursor chemicals. Okay. The legal basis, so to say, for whatever control mechanism that internationally we have in place is the 1988 Convention. I think all of you are very well aware of that. And in that as well, there are two critical articles. Actually, the Article 12 is predominantly very well known. Most people are aware of this Article 12 because it talks of precursors. And there are a set of measures in this article, that provide for control mechanism at international and domestic levels. However, what we feel is almost equally important is this Article 13, which relates to material and equipment. I'll tell you the context why. The Article 13 encourages governments to look at material and equipment as well, monitor the trade and prevent diversion of these also. Now, when we say material, since Article 12 already speaks of certain precursors which are tabled in 1 and 2 tables, if any other substances are being used, we believe it is covered under the materials word of Article 13. And equipment is obviously very, very apparent. To make synthetic drugs, you need to have equipment. And so therefore, it's equally important for governments to look at other material and equipment. Apart from the 88 Convention, Article 12 and 13, there are UN resolutions that inform the policy in this matter. And one of the very critical resolutions we believe happened a couple of years back. This is Resolution 65/3 in the CND of 2021, or was it 2022? yeah, 2022, I think, yes. And the thing that it encouraged actually INCB to do is, among other things, that it asked INCB to look at closely related substances of the control precursor when it made scheduling recommendations, and for governments also when they implemented such controls at their national levels, not just look at the substance in question, but also the related, closely related substance. That is very critical in the context of what I'm going to speak in a bit of minutes. So the first mandate that the INCB has under Article 12 is for recommending substances for scheduling. Very quickly, as already Monica has mentioned, there are 33 substances under international control, 25 in Table 1 and 8 in Table 2. The 3 ones highlighted in yellow are the ones that we most recently scheduled, and these are all fentanyl precursors. These were done last year. Unfortunately, when the traffickers look for substances for illicit drug manufacture, they do not obviously limit themselves to these 25 plus 18 substances. So if you see this pot, this flask, it has many, many more chemicals. And if you look at this bottom left number, 67 countries across all continents have reported seizures of substances which are not under international control. This issue is not limited to any particular region. It is absolutely widespread. It is not limited to a particular class of drugs. It applies to heroin, cocaine, amphetamine type stimulant, fentanyl, whatever class of drugs that you have. Traffickers, believe me, are looking for substances that are not controlled. Last year, under the Precursors Incident Communication System, PICS, as Monica also referred in her opening remarks, happy to note that, there were 118 substances that were reported, of which only 19 were under international control. The rest, predominantly, were not. So this is clearly a major issue internationally these days. And also, not just the use of non-scheduled chemicals, the fact that we find a huge turnover in these. So when one substance is controlled internationally, we find that it's very quickly substituted by a closely related substance. And that's why in this particular year, the International Narcotics Control Board has proposed to schedule actually 18 new substances, but they belong to basically 3 categories: amphetamine and methamphetamine precursors and fentanyl precursors. And not just the main substances, it's actually the P2P methylglycidic acid and 3,4-MDP methylglycidic acid derivatives that are being recommended for scheduling apart from the 2 fentanyl precursors proposed by the United States. But this is a realization of the fact that unless something is proactively done, traffickers will just move on to a new substance. I have to mention here that this is subject to a review by the CND in the forthcoming session in March, and so we still do not know whether or not this approach will be adopted. Because there are so many substances that are not under international schedule being reported repeatedly by countries across the board, the INCB has developed a lot of tools and resources to look at these chemicals. The foremost among them is this ISSL. It's been published since 1998. It has a ever-expanding list of chemicals that are frequently encountered, which are not under international control. And this is something that we also have, this compilation of national control, because there are countries that are controlling chemicals beyond the ones even listed in Table 1 and Table 2. And this is a compilation that we have. All of this is available to competent national authorities as part of the information package that we have on a secure portal. It gets disseminated every year. It gets updated every year. So all of you that are competent national authorities have access to them. Another one of the bits that we have for addressing the challenge of non-scheduled chemicals is precursor chemical monographs. It has some nearly 100 substances. These are all, and we provide whatever is the, description of the substance, the chemical properties, the legal and illegal applications, and other substances that the substance can be used with. It's a very useful directory. I never stop. I never tire of repeating this. I look at this precursor chemical monograph almost every day in my own work. Going back, the basis of international control on precursors is monitoring of the international trade. This is under para 10 of the Article 12 of the 88 Convention. And we have what you call the PEN online system, which facilitates the exchange of information between governments. So the exporting government can pre-notify an importing government of an intended shipment of a scheduled chemical, so that the importing government has an opportunity to conduct its due diligence, verify the legitimacy of the shipment, and if it feels necessary, maybe even object to it. This use of PEN online actually is a very critical mechanism to prevent diversion of chemicals from at least international trade. It's been extremely successful, and I have some numbers that I'll talk about in a minute. But what we did recently, looking at this, again, this issue of non-scheduled chemicals, we developed a light version, so to say, of PEN Online. And it's called PEN Online Light. It's light because it covers substances that are not included in Table 1 and Table 2. It's also light because this is not a mandatory requirement, as opposed to the pre-export notification online system itself. And this is a platform, again, a very useful tool, which allows governments that control certain substances which are not under international control to pre-notify those substances to the importing governments. Let me jump to it immediately. This was launched in October 2022, and already we heard in the last task force meeting that it has successfully prevented the diversion of 60 tons of GBL from China to Germany. So in case your government is still not using PEN Online Lights, this is the time to start doing so. It's a great step for preventing diversion of substances which could be used for illicit drug manufacture. And again, for reporting of, so PEN Online and PEN Online Light is for legitimate trade. But if you make seizures, if you have suspicious shipments, if you have any incidents relating to precursors or equipment, the platform that the INCB has is PICS, Precursors Incident Communication System. It's for real-time information sharing. I would not delve into detail here, but it has a lot of features which support backtracking investigation. So if an incident is entered there, it supports cross-border in a backtracking investigation. It's also very useful for analysis purposes. And above all, it has now begun to inform even the scheduling decisions. It's an early warning system, and the substances I just mentioned, which INCB has proposed for scheduling, we did so because we could see a surge in the incidence of these substances in pigs. So there you go. It has over 4,300 incidents right now. If you're not a member on pigs already, just write to incb.pigs@un.org or to me. I'll have my email contacts later on in the presentation, and we will put you on board on pigs. Just the numbers here, use of pen and pen online, which is pen online is almost universally used now. This prevented no less than 2 tons of pseudoephedrine preparations being diverted for illicit drug manufacture in the year 2022. And also pigs has so many incidents now that I already mentioned about. So again, these are very significant tools for preventing diversion and sharing incidents related to them. We also have, we summarize everything. The major trends and challenges are captured in the Precursors report, which is published annually. This is a part of the mandate that the INCB needs to discharge. It needs to present in terms of Article 12, this report to the Commission on Narcotic Drugs, and therefore we produce this every year. And the report for the year 2023 will soon be out in the month of February. One of the most significant challenges, I already mentioned diversion from international trade, but we find now that because most substances are controlled in a manner that only the international trade is controlled, very often the domestic trade gets neglected. So domestic manufacture, trade and distribution, even for internationally scheduled chemicals, we find through our surveys, this is not perhaps as closely controlled. And therefore, the traffickers have now begun to source their chemicals that they want from domestic channel. And now when they want to put it into international trade, they just misdeclare it and traffic it and it goes out. So it's not ephedrine being declared as ephedrine. That's just an example that I'm giving you right now for an internationally controlled chemical, but it could be completely misdeclared. Let's say if you, let me just throw an example here. We still don't have P2P methylglycidic acid control. So if a trafficker wants it now, it sources domestically, and then it will just misdeclare it and put it into international trade. So the focus needs to be on domestic manufacturing and distribution channel. This is one issue which we've been highlighting time and again. And then the minute that we talk of domestic manufacture, trade and distribution, and we've already seen the large number of substances that are there in the market, engagement with the industry become extremely critical. Because really, you cannot regulate your way to controls and to address this challenge. Industry is the first reference point. Industry really manufactures all these chemicals. Industry trades in them, and so therefore, as Monica mentioned, also a voluntary arrangement with the industry where they report suspicious transactions is extremely critical, and the INCB has initiated a number of initiatives which support. It's been doing for several years now, but recently we've come up with something called mapping of the industrial landscape. And we did a global review of categories of industries that could possibly be susceptible to be targeted by traffickers. Very often governments are aware of the industry that manufactures scheduled chemicals. But with precursors, we know that most of them are dual-use chemicals. And so therefore, there could be several categories of industries which are knowingly or unknowingly trading, manufacturing, dealing in any way with certain chemicals that are not under control. And they can be then targeted, we believe, by traffickers. And so increase the awareness of governments, we brought out this document called the Global Review of Industries. And now we are actually working closely with certain governments to carry out mapping of the national industrial landscape to identify whether or not these categories or any other are present in their national landscape and all that. And we encourage all governments to actually do it at their own level also. And CB is, of course, supporting certain governments where we are actively working with to do it on its part. Again, one very critical piece of this puzzle of illicit drug manufacture is this equipment. And we've now begun to, this is a guide for preventing or investigating diversion of equipment cases that we brought out, I think, in 2020. And since 2022, we've been, started this series of technical papers that we are trying to, in fact, increase the awareness of governments towards Article 13 and how that can be used effectively to prevent illicit drug manufacture. And finally, since this is Southeast Asia, this is the Asian region here, and very, very closely work with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the UNODC Regional Office for Southeast Asia has actually a precursor control strategy for this region. And this has really recently been adopted by UNODC. As you can see, the trigger for that is the fact that there is in this region a growing amount of illicit drug manufacture, and that is driven by the fact that precursor chemicals continue to find their way into the hands of drug organized crime. There are 4 pillars to this strategy: development of policy, that's raising the political awareness of this issue, capacity building, training of frontline officers for precursor control, etc., operational support when there are cases, supporting backtracking investigations, and then research and data, including through online monitoring, etc. All these are part of the strategy of UNODC for Southeast Asia. So the INCB works very closely with UNODC, and this is something that we promote as a synergistic exercise. And if you see the major recommendations under the strategy, these resonate very, very well with what INCB has been promoting all these years, some of which I've already spoken about. So enhanced monitoring of non-controlled chemicals is the first one. This training of officers on the ISSL, something that I mentioned just now. Improving use of pen online light and pen online light and PICs. It's also part of this recommendation, improving end user certification. So that helps in preventing diversion from domestic distribution channels. Now, trying to have additional measures that monitor flows of chemicals to areas which face governance challenges, such as Myanmar that we know of in this region. Emphasis on cybercrime investigation. Again, internet is extremely critical. We find a lot of listings for precursor chemicals and equipment on several B2B platforms. So that's extremely important part. We've been promoting it from INCB side as well. Having equal amount of regulatory controls over SEZs and free trade zone, that's very, very important. In fact, when you see the precursors report of this year or the annual INCB's report of this year, you will find that a special chapter in it. It's so important. INCB is promoting that. And again, engagement with chemical and pharmaceutical industry that I just spoke. These are just some of the recommendations. There are many, many more. And that, I think, brings me to the end of my presentation. You can see my email IDs here and my contact details. Feel free to reach out in case of any queries, doubts, or information that you might want us to have from here. I'll stop sharing my presentation now, but of course, I'm available for any questions later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh, so much. I'll turn to Monica to introduce the next speaker. Oh, no, I will introduce the next speaker right now. Next, we have Mr. Aziz Bek, Erka Wolf. He's the head of the analytical unit with the Central Asian Regional Information and Coordination Center. The floor is yours.
Здравствуйте, уважаемый председатель. Hello, dear friends, dear participants of this meeting. First of all, I would like to thank you for invitation to this event, and let me present you my presentation. It will be devoted to a situation with drugs in our region, and we'll also give you some information about long-term sub-regional anti-narcotic, anti-drug measures in our region. Значит, With regards to our mandate, we analyze constantly the whole situation. And in the last 9 months, analysis shows that the countries members of this union, we see increase of confiscated drugs comparing to amount in 2022. In the last 9 months of 2023, comparing to same period in 22, our numbers increased twofold. If you want more details, we confiscated 79 tons, 551 kilogram. Compared to last year, it was 39 tons. So as you see, it's almost twice larger number than last period. Among confiscated 49 tons, it's cannabis group, then it's opium, a second group of confiscated narcotics. And I want to mention that confiscated heroin decreased from 5 tons to about 3 tons. And hashish, it was more than 9 tons. And the last period, it was 9.5 tons. It means that it became larger than the same period of last year. Our region confiscated 40 tons, 664 kilograms of precursors, which is 144% larger than the period of 9 months of 2022. Our analysis shows the following tendencies. First of all, it's increase in drugs seizures by 104%. The weight of psychotropic substances increased 101%. We confiscated a lot of psychotropic substances, which is 10.5% larger than last year. 5.5 increase in detection of drug laboratories manufacturing synthetic and other drugs. Then seizures of precursors increased by 144%, and in the total number increased by 8.3%. This is an 8.9% increase in the drug sales. We initiated, as a result, a special operation substitute, a detection and interception of smuggling of precursors used for production of drugs and NPS from Afghanistan. This operation was also supposed to find chemicals which are not under international monitoring, but still can be used to produce heroin or some other drugs, or just to hide shipping drugs. Those are 5 countries which are members of this: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Iran, and Pakistan. And but major countries are Central Asian, and together with police, law enforcement agencies, there were groups of port controls, members of global system of control of international shipments. International support was provided to us by our United Nations, and regional coordination was done by our center. During this operation, we collect a lot of information. We were checking all kind of shipments and decided what would be the most risk. The first part was in 2014. Second period was in 2017. We call it phase 2, and Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Iran participated in this event. And as a result of the second phase, we decided to continue. So this year we plan to start the third phase of this operation. And our center, as international center to combating drugs, in 2016 and 17 offered initiate international Operation Reflex to fight together against new psychotropic substances. So we start using new mechanism of monitoring and early indication of those precursors crossing the borders. Based on agreements we achieved during this meeting, our experts, and since our goals are general for all of members, we offered to unite all those operations in one international measure to do it at the same time frame with the same scenario. Then we will analyze after this phase will be completed, and with regarding to the general picture, and every country participant is separate, and then we'll publish our report and we will name all confiscated precursors and drugs. And because of that, our center is ready to do all this work in 2024 and provide building and other support to International Coordination Center and experts. We think it will help to activate in cooperation between all countries of the region. It will help to exchange information in real time with regards to drugs and precursors, analysis of risk, and analysis of tendencies of new shipments and other illegal activities. The plan of these measures was 3 phases. Preparation, all those events should be organized in 2 months before it will start. And second phase, we call it active stage, 20 days or 1 month, investigative message at checkpoints, communication and monitoring will take place, and then conducting joint investigative actions. And that few countries who will be interested will participate. And the third is a post-operation phase, 3 months after operation. We'll analyze and we'll name risk indicators. We'll continue monitor all those risk indicators, conducting joint investigative measures, and if it will be necessary, we'll organize joint investigative actions once again. We will continue discuss those factors, and we'll have a working group who will work within a regional group of our countries, Afghanistan and Iran. The plan of this operation will be delivered to all participants and also to United Nations office, and will decide strategic points which will be used during this operation, and then report about everything which will cross borders. Every country will have a communication center which will help to coordinate and exchange information in real time. Those national information centers will have experts. They will locate it on the border crossings and will deliver all information right away. If something will be confiscated with regards to this plan, they will report according to special formulas that we developed and authorized during the previous meeting of experts. And tasks of operation of coordination team includes organization of operation room. It will be a temporary function. Then it will have communication coordination where will be our representatives and international.
The second task, coordination, international cooperation, receiving information on a daily basis, preparing daily reports with respect to inspections, and also coordinating international events, including international operations on the basis of controlled deliveries. the center that we're going to use for that, unfortunately, it hasn't been activated. We receive information from Pakistan and some other countries, and there'll be information on the daily cargoes inspected and generating reports. The tasks of national focal points will be the receipt of daily reports, analyzing data on suspicious cargo and generating reports, data reports on the results of the operations. We also determined this circle of tasks for NPOs. We've determined that it's going to be briefings and debriefing during the post-operative period. In the same fashion, we're going to be handling the reflex operation. Of course, we're going to evaluate the needs of the law enforcement that's going to be conducting this operation, and also the CARIC communications will be used to put together all the countries participants of this operation, and this central body will be using protected CENTCOM2 channels for communication. There may be other channels of communication that may be used during the operation, contemporary, maybe the postal communication and others. All participants will be set up with means of communication before the operation starts. We also suggest using the PIX system online, the Precursors incident communication system, which seems to be a reliable way of communicating information on precursor incidents among countries. The working group session in Dushanbe in 2023 generated recommendations aimed at conducting those two operations. First of all, real-time information exchange. We recommend using the platforms online and PIX to inform on seizures and handling suspicious information. Also conduct permanent monitoring of the internet for suspicious publications, and competent authorities of CARIC, Iran and Pakistan should take part in the implementation of the operations called Substitute. They've informed us of that during the last meeting, and as a result of the two operations, Substitute and Reflex, there'll be an analysis run with the purposes of informing all the participants and all interested parties. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions, I'm ready to answer them. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for a comprehensive presentation on the great work of CARIC. We just have a few minutes left. Maybe I'll turn it over to our co-chair, Monica, if you have some comments, or if you'd like to call on some of the participants here in the meeting to share some questions or comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. I mean, this session has been really very productive. The first presentation by Rajesh sir was indeed very informative. I think extensive use of INCB platforms such as PIX and PEN for sharing data pertaining to precursor chemicals is the way to go. And all countries should endeavor to use this, and as sir pointed out, about some wonderful seizures also. So there's another version of the light version. I think we all need to adopt to that as well. And another very important point was of the equipment. I think many of the countries are missing on that, and I think when I go back, I'm going to have a look at my own things also. As far as equipments are concerned, we all often we miss on those things. That was a really wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you so much. And for the as far as this CARI CC presentation, I think Operation Substitute has done great, and I wish much more success in the operations which they will be planning. Thank you so much from my side.
Thank you so much, Monica. Any comments or questions from the room? Please raise your hand.